Welcome to our deep dive. And today we're tackling English for nutritionists.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be really useful for anyone working in the field or just anyone with a passion for food and health, really.
Absolutely. And we've got some really great material lined up to help you guys boost your fluency in this very specific area of English.
So why is English so important in the world of nutrition anyway?
Well, think about it. Nutrition is a global field, right?
Right,
We're
right.
talking international research collaborations, clients from all corners of the world, you name it.
Yeah, you could be advising clients in different countries or presenting at a conference in, some amazing location.
Exactly. And of course, let's not forget the wealth of resources available in English. I mean, research articles, books, online courses, the list goes on and on.
And being able to understand and engage with all of that is just huge for any nutritionist who wants to, stay ahead of the game.
Totally. So let's dive into some of that essential vocabulary, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so you're probably already familiar with some basic terms like nutrition, diet, things like that.
By macronutrients, micronutrients.
Exactly. But are you comfortable explaining these concepts in English?
Right. Can you articulate the difference between, let's say, a simple carb and a complex carb?
To a client who's maybe trying to manage their blood sugar levels.
It's one thing to know the definition yourself, but being able to explain it clearly and simply in English, that's key.
That's where the real magic happens.
Absolutely. And think about different scenarios like you're working with a client who's lactose intolerant.
Right.
How do you explain why they need to avoid dairy?
And recommend alternative sources of calcium.
Yeah, these are those real-world situations where being fluent in English for nutrition just makes all the difference.
For sure it does. Okay, so we've got the basic building blocks down, but let's move beyond single words now.
Yeah, let's get into some phrases and expressions.
Because to really communicate effectively in this field, you need to master those.
You need to be able to put those words together.
Exactly. So for example, how would you describe the Mediterranean diet?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, you wouldn't just say, oh, it's got olive oil, fish, and veggies, right?
Right.
You need to be able to explain its emphasis on healthy fats, antioxidant.
The potential benefits for heart health.
Exactly. You're painting a picture for your listener with your words.
So true. And what about if you're discussing the gut microbiome with a colleague?
Ooh, that's a hot topic these days.
You need to be comfortable talking about prebiotics, probiotics, the role of bacteria in our overall health.
All in English, of course.
Of course. So how do we get from knowing those individual words to, being able to have those complex conversations?
Well, that's what this deep dive is all about.
That's what we're here for. We're back and ready to give you some practical tips you can actually use.
Yeah, let's get down to business.
Okay, so let's imagine you're working with a client who wants to lose weight.
Okay.
How would you approach that conversation in English?
Well, instead of just saying eat less, exercise more, which can sound a bit,
Yeah, a little blunt.
Yeah, exactly. I'd probably say something like, okay, so we really want to focus on creating a calorie deficit, but we're going to do that by making gradual changes to your diet and finding ways to move your body more, Yeah. We'll find a plan that works for you and your lifestyle and helps you reach your goals.
That sounds so much better, right?
It's encouraging, it's supportive.
It shows you're really listening to their needs.
For sure. And this applies to all sorts of situations, not just weight loss.
Right.
Like, imagine you're talking about fiber with a client.
Okay.
You could say something like, fiber is great because it keeps you feeling full and satisfied, which can definitely help with weight management, but it's also super important for your digestion, and it can even help regulate blood sugar levels.
So you're giving them that extra context, right?
Exactly. It's not just eat fiber, it's the why behind it.
I like that. And it's about explaining things clearly without oversimplifying.
Absolutely.
You don't want to talk down to anyone.
So how would you explain the difference between saturated and unsaturated fats? That's a good one. Sometimes I use analogies to make it easier.
Oh, I love analogies.
Right. So I might say, think of saturated fats like butter. They're solid at room temperature.
Okay.
Unsaturated fats are more like olive oil liquid at room temp.
Makes sense.
Our bodies need both, but too much saturated fat can raise those cholesterol levels.
That's such a good way to make it relatable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you get more comfortable talking about nutrition in English, you might have to tackle some more sensitive topics.
Right, like food allergies.
Yeah, or maybe disordered eating.
Those require a really delicate approach.
Definitely, you want to create a safe space for the person you're talking to.
So what would you say?
I might start by saying something like, I know that food can be a complicated issue for a lot of people, but I want you to know that I'm here to listen without judgment. We'll figure this out together and find what works for you and your health.
It's all about that empathy and support.
Absolutely. And another thing to watch out for is using too much jargon.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to do when you're passionate about something.
It is. You might be excited to use words like bioavailability or oxidative stress.
Right.
But remember, not everyone knows what those mean.
So explain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could say something like bioavailability that just means how much of a nutrient your body can actually absorb and use.
Perfect little footnote.
Yeah. So any final words of wisdom for our listeners who want to master English for nutrition?
What's the secret sauce?
Honestly, the biggest thing is practice. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Just use the language.
Yeah, the more you use it, the better you'll get.
Makes sense. What else?
Immerse yourself in the world of English nutrition. Read articles, listen to podcasts.
Okay, so surround yourself with the language.
Yeah, and find people to talk to, colleagues, clients, even online communities.
Love it. It's all about those real-world interactions.
Couldn't agree more.
So before we jump into our last practice round, anything else you want to add? I love that advice. And it is a journey, right? It's not like you wake up one day and you've just mastered it.
Exactly. It's about those small steps and celebrating the progress you make along the way.
For sure. So let's do one last practice round to really put all this into action.
Sounds good.
Okay, imagine you're at a conference and you're presenting on the benefits of a plant-based diet.
Okay.
How would you start your presentation to really hook the audience?
I might start by saying something like, we've all seen the growing interest in plant-based diets, and there's a good reason for that. Studies are showing all sorts of benefits for our health and the planet. So today I'm going to break down some of those key advantages of eating more plants.
I love it. Nice and clear and to the point.
Got to grab their attention right from the start.
Totally. Okay. Next scenario, you're with a client who's totally confused about food labels.
Yes, the mystery of the food label.
How do you help them make sense of it all?
Well, I always say food labels are like a map. They tell you exactly what's in the food you're eating.
Okay.
So we'll look at serving sizes, calories, the breakdown of fats, carbs, and protein.
All that good stuff.
Exactly. And of course, we'll talk about the ingredient list, making sure they understand what those long names actually mean.
That's like becoming a food detective.
Exactly. The more you know, the better choices you can make.
Love it. Okay, last one. You're leading a workshop on hydration.
Okay.
How do you really drive home the importance of water?
Well, I'd start by reminding everyone that water is essential for life. I mean, it does everything from regulating our temperature to carrying nutrients throughout our body.
Keeps those systems running.
Exactly. And even mild dehydration can really mess with our energy levels, brain function, everything.
Yeah, it's easy to forget to drink enough.
So we'll talk about practical tips like keeping a water bottle handy, setting reminders on your phone.
Little things can make a big difference.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. What aspect of nutrition in English are you most curious about? Is it sports, nutrition, food cultures around the world, maybe the latest research on personalized diets? Whatever it is, keep learning, keep exploring.
It's a fascinating field, and there's always something new to discover.
That's the beauty of it. So embrace that curiosity and keep those English skills sharp. And remember, you're not alone in the city. There's a whole community out there ready to support you.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into English for Nutritionists. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.